everyone, I'm Heartless Spartan. Today I'm going to do a toy talk about Jazwares World of Halo 3.75-inch action figure line. Now the way this actually kicked off for me was back in 2020. During the summer, I happened across on YouTube a video showing off Jazwares' booth that was at New York Toy Fair. And as a huge Halo fan, I got extremely excited about this. And I started squirreling away money for months and scouring like all of the major retailers and toy store websites, waiting for any kind of hint of these things to actually release. And when they did, they kind of snuck in maybe late October and into November that year. And I just bought up as much as I could because I was super happy that a company was coming out with decent, fairly well made 3 3/4, 4-inch action figures that were a combination of affordable and widely available. However, and it's an extremely large but involving this Halo line, is that even when I did buy these up, I was hoping that they would be widely available, so I bought up tons of them under the belief that they would just keep churning these things out. And of course I got lots of grunts, I got Master Chiefs, Warthogs, Brutes. I turned out to be one of the lucky ones that jumped on these pretty early and initially got what I wanted from that very first wave. But anything after that, there were complications. Now, of course, back in 2020 was the onset of the pandemic, and there were major supply chain issues. So even after this first wave hit and I got what I wanted, a lot of this stuff sold out. So even when I was telling people about it, or I was still looking for things that I was still trying to army build on, I just couldn't find any of it. There was nothing. Nothing was getting through, nothing was making it onto store shelves. And when they did, a whole lot of other issues kind of brought into the light regarding a combination of the state of Halo and how certain companies order toys and action figures. Now, one of the things that unfortunately happened, or so I hear the rumor is, that because Halo Infinite was going to be coming out, and most of the first wave of these figures were based on Halo Infinite. Well, what a lot of retailers ended up doing was, well, this Master Chief guy, he's the main character of this huge video game that Microsoft is putting out. So you know what? Let's just get a whole bunch of him and stock the shelves with him, because we're going to sell tons of him. Now, a franchise like Star Wars figured this out years ago. That you don't put hundreds of Luke Skywalkers on the shelf and expect all of them to sell out. Now see, everybody only wants one Luke Skywalker or one Darth Vader. But what everybody wants a whole bunch of are the stormtroopers and the aliens. They want the enemies. People want to army build the armies that are in these franchises. That's what I did when these came out. I bought a whole bunch of the grunts. I bought a whole bunch of the Marines. I bought a couple of the pilots. I thought, okay, if they're coming out with awesome vehicles, then maybe I'll want a couple of pilots to stick in the cockpits of something that comes out later on. Which they haven't come out with any flying vehicles, but I have high hopes for that in the future. Like, I even managed to get several of the Brutes out of the first wave, and I am so happy that I jumped on that at the time, because they became practically instantly difficult to get. And of course, all this just stuff that showed up on secondary markets at insane prices. One of the issues with the Jazwares Halo line right now is that there's 2 or 3 whole waves that I have a lot of these figures, but there's 2 or 3 whole waves that I just never saw. One of those waves I know showed up in the States because, like, I had to drive 3 counties just to get this guy, this Jackal. I only found like 3 of those, and I spent like a whole summer driving around. I spent tons in gas because just I had fun doing it. I found some other figures, but I mean, really, he's like the only one from that wave that I know for certain that I got. But there's waves that hit Canada and Mexico that I guess are just kind of shelf warming. If you guys buy those up and sell them to other countries that just didn't get them, you know, feel free to do that, I guess. Especially if they're just shelf warming. But those retailers had bought tons and tons and tons of just Master Chiefs. Now, something else that ended up making that situation much worse regarding the countless Master Chiefs was that Jazwares had packaged with the vehicles, with character multi-packs, with packs of Marines, and just almost anything they could come out with that they could stick an extra figure with, they stuck a Master Chief with it. And even just between army building and just buying the vehicles and stuff, you know, Jazwares, I think I'm good on Master Chief. You can stop packaging Master Chief with everything, because this is only bag 1. You know, I'm a collector, I'm an army builder, but I'm good. I'm good on Master Chief. I don't need any more Master Chiefs. Alright, I can understand coming out with, okay, yeah, here's Halo 4 Master Chief. I was really happy they came out with the Halo Combat Evolved Master Chief. I've got Halo 3 Master Chief sitting behind the wheel of that Halo 3 Warthog. Now, that was something I got extremely excited about, is when they didn't just come out with the Halo Infinite stuff, but they started coming out with stuff from previous games. It just widely expanded the potential for their line greatly. Now, between the stores not really wanting to... These are assumptions. I don't know for certain. They're the rumors that I've heard. They're everything that I've just been kind of hearing and picking up along the way, is that, you know, if they can't sell off all of their Master Chiefs, why are they going to keep buying this line? And between, you know, them having trouble selling off everything they already purchased, they're also having supply line issues yet. So between the confusion in demand and sales numbers and logistics, this line pretty much went dead the last at least year and a half or so. Now, this past year, I think back in around October of 22, and these are still available on the shelves, and I am so happy that I can walk into a Target and just pick up one of these guys. Now, ever since I was a kid and I played Halo 2, I always wanted an action figure of an ODST that I can hold in my hands. So right now, what I'm doing is a childhood dream come true. And to top all that off, comes with a drop pod. $10 for the action figure, $10 for the drop pod. It was a $20 pack. Beautiful. I love it. Came with this submachine gun, came with a little pistol, the backpack's removable. There's so much that I like about this line. The figures themselves, I mean, they get a lot of complaints from collectors, but as a collector myself, I don't need tons of detail on my toys. Like, I am super happy with the way that these look. I don't need as much detail on these figures as I do, say, like, maybe even like the Star Wars figures. Like, they have extra paint apps, all the muddiness surrounding the boots, the detailing on, like, the arms and the helmets and things like that. Like, there's some quality control issues with the Jazwares lines, but you know what? For a figure that's maybe $10, you know, $20, you know, including the drop pod, but, you know, they're about $10 a figure, whereas now, for a Star Wars figure in the same scale, it's about $18. About $20 with tax. So, you know what? I am more than happy to get figures that are posable, come with good accessories, and look the way that I want them to. They're good enough for what they are. And they're affordable. The only thing I wish they were, I wish more of them were more abundantly available. Especially as a collector, I'm like, wow, I just missed out on at least 2 or 3 waves out of, I think, like 6. That's almost half of what came out. And I've got a lot, but, you know, if that's what I'm missing, I'm still missing a lot. You know, I feel sorry for the people that missed the first couple of waves just because of the logistic issues brought on by the pandemic. Okay, so these World of Halo action figures as a toy line is absolutely fantastic. Between the price point, the size of the figures, the quality of the figures, even though probably the biggest quality control issues include how some of the parts are assembled, like visors may not fit properly into like the helmets, or either joints are super loose. Like if I pull this guy out here, how shaky that one is. Joints are super loose, or they're so tight that the joints are practically fused together and you can't bend a limb. Usually it's on the legs or the feet. I think I've gotten a couple Master Chiefs where, let's say, his feet are fused, but they were packaged like this, so no matter what I did, he'd be standing like that. Is not very good for a figure if the joints are fused. And I can understand people's complaints with those kinds of quality control issues. Especially with how some of these figures are so rare and so hard to get. But as a toy, I think they're absolutely fantastic. They've got a good level of quality, you know, minus some of those quality control issues involving the joints and parts. Can I focus that? There we go. But really, even like the figures themselves, like let's say I take my ODST here and his leg pops off. Now, on a lot of figures, if that happens, that's the end of story. There's no getting that leg back on. But a lot of these World of Halo figures, you just pop that right back on there. He's good. He's fine. He'll live. They built him a new leg. But even the accessories for World of Halo, and even when Star Wars started doing this, the accessories are bendy. Like, I can flex this. Okay, they might come apart a little bit. But you can bend these to a certain extent, and they'll be fine. Like, except for maybe when they sit in storage too long, like on this guy. I had him stored kind of funny, so his energy sword is all twisted up. I'll have to stick that in a book for a while to see if that straightens out. But the nice thing about this is, when you have all these figures like this, and they have different kinds of articulation, or even different hands, like on these aliens, and all these thick pieces of armor, that the bendy parts allow you to be able to stick things in their hands and bend it around the armor so that they can actually hold them. And you don't have to replace a bunch of weapons because you keep breaking them. Now, the accessories that came with these lines, like I have a box just absolutely full of human weapons, alien weapons, barricades, crates, fusion coils from the games. Those are like explosive barrels. I mean, there's just tons of stuff. There's even machine gun turrets for both the humans and I believe the aliens. Either that or for some reason the Mega Block stuff is popping up in my head right now. But just smacking my camera like it's not there. But there is so much that gets me excited about this line, both Halo Infinite stuff, but especially the older games. And just all of the extra things that they came out with, like the Sentinel. Whoever did this, like, kudos to you, whoever designed this one. Because its arms are articulated, it can fold in like it was flying, and just like in Halo 2, the bottom sentinel beam pops off, and you can flip that over, and you can have another character hold it like a weapon. And I think that is just great. Now, I had the McFarlane version of one of these from, I think it was like the Halo 3 version. And all of my McFarlane stuff, for the most part, is still in its packaging, because I knew at the time when I was a teenager and collecting those, they were already hard to get. So I just kept them in their boxes and just kept buying them as a collector. But I'm loving that Jazwares is making the human allies, the aliens, the machines. I'd love to see more Sentinels, or even like the giant Sentinels from Halo 2 in like a vehicle size. And don't even get me started on my wishes for vehicles, because this isn't even like the Halo Infinite Warthog. They did a Halo 3 anniversary Warthog. And that's what this is. It came with a Halo 3 Master Chief. That Marine just like died out of that Warthog. Halo 3 Master Chief and a Halo 3 style Arbiter and a Halo 3 style Warthog. Because the Halo Infinite Warthog looks like this. And they did an entirely new sculpt and paint job for the Halo 3 Warthog. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I love this. I want this line to continue. But right now, it's kind of dead in the water, and the last thing you could get were these drop pods, which are also amazing. I bought a bunch of these, and I can still go to the store and find these on the shelf. I don't have it rigged so that they pop open, but I can fit a figure in there. Now, yeah, okay, sure, it's not as good as the McFarlane one that came out years ago. I have one of those sitting in the box in storage somewhere. But for play, and even for collectability, at the price point that it is, this is fantastic. I am more than happy with this. Set that back there. Now, going back to the multiple games figures, going back to Halo 3, I would love to see more Halo 3 stuff. I'd love to see some Halo 3 Elites, Halo 3 Grunts. Halo 3 was my game. That's where I made so many of my friends. Like, I can do a gaming video, maybe I'll call it Gaming Gripes, complaining about the differences between, oh, back in my day, compared to how Halo looks and feels to me now. But I'm not going to do that in this video. But I was ecstatic to be able to get some, at least a handful of Halo 3 Marines. They kind of sold out. They were hard to find as well, but at least that wave showed up in the store for me. Anyways. Something else I was super happy that they came out with was the Flood. This beautifully hideous creature is just extremely cool. And even better, he came with parasite forms. This Flood tank form and some parasite forms. I army built the heck out of these guys. I got a box full of them because, you know what? I love swarms of the Flood. The Flood was a great enemy at the time. When I was a kid, I just wanted so many of these figures. I wanted Master Chiefs, I wanted Floods, I wanted Elites, I for certain wanted ODSTs ever since I first played Halo 2 on a boat of all places, and I saw these guys launch down in the drop pods accompanying Master Chief. I mean, it's the coolest thing. That kind of like childhood dream of mine came true with these figures, and I would absolutely love to see this line continue. Now, Comic-Con 2023 is in a couple of weeks. This line is kind of dead right now. I mean, there's spaces for it in the stores, but there's next to no merchandise. You can still get the ODSTs. There might be a few 6-inch figures kind of that trickled in on the shelves. Those were even getting nearly impossible to get where I'm at. And, I mean, even some Warthogs and these Mantis vehicles are still available. I mean, I don't know how many of those I can buy before it's like, yeah, I have enough of these. But I have high hopes for the Jazwares Halo line. As for the future of what I want to see in the Halo line is, well, for sure more of the old stuff. I'd love to see more stuff from Halo 3. I'd maybe like to see some stuff from Halo Reach, at least vehicle-wise, something like the Falcon. That thing would probably be huge. I don't know how they'd go about doing that. Just like, you know, my dreams are also vehicles, because they did fantastic jobs on their vehicles. Because if I move these guys out of the way, I mean, they're push and play vehicles. They're not RC. even when I was a kid, and a company would come out with like a toy vehicle, and it was motorized and had buttons on it and made terrible sounds. I didn't want those. I didn't want electronic RC vehicles. I wanted push and play. I wanted it to do what I wanted it to do. And that is why I'm loving these. These are absolutely classic for me. And the way they designed even this ghost is just beautiful to me, because it came with these. So that's not just dragging across the floor. These pop out. I can pop these out and, you know, pretend it's floating or whatever. But you stick those in. They look decent, they make sense, and it gives it that look that it's hovering. And you know what? They even built this adjustable for whatever character you're sticking on there. And a lot of these different vehicles and stuff also just come right back apart for, like, easy storage. Now, granted, if you're a kid, that makes the parts more likely to be lost. But you know what? I have a lot of Star Wars vehicles from when I was a kid. And I can say that I have maybe 90% of the stuff that wasn't stolen from me for those vehicles. I didn't really lose a lot of that stuff when I was a kid. Take good care of your toys, kids, or you'll regret it when you're older. Now, I almost forgot about something. I want to slip this in. One of the things that makes this World of Halo line just absolutely amazing is its scale. And I don't mean like the 3.75 inch scale, even though that's what I collect. What I mean by the scale is the figures are scaled in the World of Halo. So a Brute is going to be bigger than an Elite. An Elite is going to be bigger than the Master Chief. Let me adjust my camera here so we can get an idea of the scale here. Wind this down. Let's get on their level a little bit. There we go. So Brute's bigger than the Elites. Elite's bigger than the Master Chief. The Master Chief as a Spartan 2, bigger than a Spartan 4. Spartan 4, bigger than an Armored Human. Armored Human, bigger than... Cannot see that off to the side. Bigger than just the pilot and his jumpsuit. They're to scale. So if you put a Brute... Let's move these out of the way. I'm working with limited space here. The Brute next to that pilot, you can tell that guy does not have a chance. Or even if you stick the flood tank in there, it looks like that Brute might have a chance against that, but then you start noticing the scale of some of these things that it's like, man, I don't remember the grunts being that big in the game. Well, you know what? That's because you're Master Chief. You're a lot bigger than the grunt is, and you're a lot bigger than a regular human is. Because guess what? You're a super soldier. Now, while I've got this set up here yet, because I'm still remembering some things I wanted to discuss, there's one more thing I wanted to show off that I think they did quite well. Is this. Now, you might think, there we go. What's the playability of a turret? Quite a lot, actually, I think, because, you know, you set up bases, you set up point defense. Like, a lot of the accessories that came with this stuff was even, like, alien barricades and things. I mean, it has full 360 degrees, bonk Master Chief in the back of the head, turning, and the way, whoever designed this, I like it, because this turns upward or downward, and you're able to access the figure on either side and get in there to the figure and attach them to the turret controls. And I just absolutely love that. As Comic-Con approaches at the end of July this summer, I had caught a rumor that Jazwares might show up and possibly reveal what their plans are for their World of Halo line going forward. I'm really hoping that Jazwares doesn't give up the license. I really hope that they keep this line going. I really hope that they keep the 3.75-inch line going. Their 6-inch line, I think, could maybe use some upgrades. But I think, you know, that line's fine. I collect that one too, just not anywhere near as abundant as this World of Halo scale line goes. So if anything comes out of Comic-Con via Jazwares, I'm really hoping that it's some good news. Feel free to share any of your thoughts on this in the comments as well. Let me know if there's anything that you caught wind of, or maybe even what you're hoping that might reveal for the future. If you have like a dream vehicle or a dream character that you wish they'd come out with, please leave that in the comments. Could always use that for discussion another time. Now, for certain, if there's anything specific you'd like me to... Wow. I mean, yeah, even the tires are rubber. But if there's anything specific you'd like me to like show or discuss, or just even kind of... Because I managed to collect so many of these things, and I'm lucky in that manner, that I can take these things out and do reviews, talk about what I like about them, what I wish they'd done differently, what I wish they'd do in the future. But as a starting video, I think this one's doing alright. Please like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment, give me some feedback, because I'm just starting these things out. I'm seeing how they're going, and I'm doing my best to improve them as I go on. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as you will. I'd certainly appreciate any kind of constructive feedback you have for me. Now, this whole time I got to enjoy just kind of sitting here playing with my Halo action figures. This time it was the 3.75-inch World of Halo line, and I'm just having all kinds of fun. You end up actually breaking the leg. Now, normally they have a really good range of articulation.